Good afternoon and hello again, children. I hope you're having a lovely school holiday. It's Catherine here with Ziggy, one of the stars of the Adventures of Tzar the Paddington Poodle. And we have our Brahman bull encounter. Now, yesterday we covered off Chapter 3, so today we're tackling Chapter 4. So kick back, relax, and tune in. The morning air was crisp, and Tzar watched as the frisky young bulls, excited to be going on their first drive, were doing their best to learn the ropes from their hero, Ziggy, their ranger, their hero. Sorry about that, children. Zig wants to take off. Bye now. Sounds from above caught his attention, and he looked up at the cloudless blue sky, which was alive with every imaginable type of bird of prey, including the red goshawk he had seen earlier that morning. Let's have a look at the beautiful birds of prey. So we have the huge big eagle and the red goshawk. By the way, the red goshawk is very rare, and it's only in Australia. They had started following the cattle drive the moment the gang left Cape Crawford in the hope of snagging some poor terrified creature that might dart out from his hidey hole as the herd passed by. The speed and precision with which they dove down to catch their prey captivated Tzar, but it was the large wedge-tailed eagle that held his interest as it soared high in the sky. He watched with fascination as the majestic bird, with a wingspan just shy of 3 meters, circled around and around, gliding effortlessly on the thermal airs, waiting patiently for breakfast. Suddenly, it folded its enormous wings and dove headlong towards Ziggy, who was sitting up admiring the view. "Watch out!" screamed Tzar, but the words got stuck in his throat just as well, because the eagle scooped up a tiny field mouse in its powerful talons only meters from Ziggy, and he thought it best not to unnecessarily frighten his little brother. His heart went out for the poor little creature who had unwittingly sacrificed its life for the rest of them, and he made a mental note to remind Shout about his promise to look after his little brother. Tzar had learned firsthand the dangers of these birds when a rogue eagle had tried to kidnap Ziggy right from under his nose on their adventure to the Birdsville races. If it hadn't have been for the swift action of Kobar the dingo, who grabbed Ziggy by the tail, he would most definitely have ended up as baby food for its offspring. With a flap of its gigantic wings, the eagle disappeared, no doubt taking its prize back to its nest to feed its insatiably hungry chicks. Shout had seen the big bird circling around and braced himself in the event that it made a grab for the little poodle. "How are you doing back there, Zig?" he asked, anxiously whipping his head around to get a closer look at his little passenger. "You should see the view from up here, Shout. It's awesome!" spluttered Ziggy, choked with emotion as the magical aura of the Australian Outback and the melodious tune from the whistling kite gliding above touched his heart. Deeply connected to this country he called home, Ziggy gazed out and marvelled at the vast red landscape that stretched all the way to the horizon, past the occasional sand dune, to the foot of deep red plateaus that shimmered like mirages against the skyline. He looked around and spotted Tzar standing proudly on the back of the ute, keeping a watchful eye, and sighed contentedly. "You were right, Tzar, this is fun," he squealed in excitement. Clippity-clop, clippity-clop, clippity-clop was the hypnotic sound coming from the horses' freshly shod hooves as they made their way along the Gibber Rock Road. It was as if Ziggy was in a baby's crib being rocked gently backwards and forwards, and he found that it made him drowsy. He fought hard to keep his eyes open, but it wasn't long before they were too heavy, and he slipped down into the comfort of the saddlebag and fell into a deep sleep. The thermometer peaked somewhere in the high 30s, and the midday sun was riding high when they shuffled into Layla Creek Crossing. "Thank goodness we're here," croaked Tzar. His throat was parched and dusty. He spotted the drovers and his folks clearing away the twigs that were covering a native well, so he jumped off the back of the ute to go and lend them a hand. Let's have a look at a native. Oh, so here we go. We've got Ziggy gazing out from the saddlebag all the way to the horizon. The soakage, or native well, as they are more commonly called because the water soaks into them from underground creeks, had been dug out by the local Aboriginal tribe with the Coolamans and was about 1 metre diameter and 1.5 metres deep. It was surrounded by small gibber rocks skillfully painted with thousands of colourful red, purple and yellow dots, which stood out against the dusty red earth so passing travellers could refresh themselves before continuing on their journey. Let's have a look at one of those native wells. So this is what a native well is, children. And there's Ziggy and Tzar. Tzar, what do you make of these native wells? Ranger asked between slurps. They're amazing, he replied, taking his fill of the sweet, earthy waters. Smart people, our Aboriginal folk, stated the big bull. You're not wrong, and to think that these native wells are scattered all over the outback so you never have to go without water impresses the hell out of me. Tzar felt a tap on his shoulder and spun around to see a pair of majestic stork-like birds with enormous jet-black beaks waiting patiently in line for their turn to drink from the well. The big birds were about 150 centimetres tall from the bottom of the coral red-webbed feet to the top of their coppery brown crown and were almost 3 times taller than Tzar. Their bodies were covered in glossy black and white feathers and were supported by very long, skinny red legs. Well, hello there, said the elegant bird, stretching her neck down to get a better look at Tzar, her yellow eyes stared cheekily back at him. I'm Eden and this is Vero. We're black-necked storks, but most people just call us jabberoos, though that's not actually correct. Jabberoo is a Brazilian name and refers to birds found in the Americas, which are quite different from us. In fact, we are the only storks in the whole of Australia, she said proudly, arching her long neck and puffing out of her plumage. So let's have a look. So there they are. Hello to you as well. I'm Tzar the Paddington Poodle, replied Tzar, keeping one eye on the jabberoos and a longing eye on the billabong. Paddington. Now, isn't that somewhere near the city of Sydney? Well, yes, as a matter of fact it is, but how do you know that? My cousin Scone used to live somewhere down in New South Wales and told me all about it. Sadly, she and her family were forced to make a new home up here because of human settlement, mining and agriculture, which has caused jabberoos to become extinct in those southern regions. Eden stated, her eyes wandering off into the distance. Come, let's make the most of our time together. I can see by the look on your face that you would love a swim. Don't worry, there are no crocodiles in there. I can vouch for that, as I have been living here for now, let me see, the past 5 years, and Vero and I know the comings and goings of everybody that passes by. Tzar simply nodded his head, his thanks to the big birds, and ran and took a flying leap, diving headlong into the billabong. He dog-paddled round and noticed a Dahls aquatic frog breaststroking beside him. Watch out, those frogs are poisonous, cried the jabberoos, who were now standing amongst the large pink, red and blue water lilies in the northern end of the billabong. Don't even think about it or I'll turn you into frog's legs and have you for lunch, said Tzar, sceptically eyeing the greeny brown frog with the limey green stripe down the middle of his back. Don't listen to her, we won't hurt you. She's confusing us with those nasty cane toads, said the frog, who was about 70 centimetres in length and was now floating on his back with his arms folded behind his back with a cheeky grin on his face. Tzar paddled over to the birds with the frog in tow. Afternoon, Lentil, said Eden, dipping her head in acknowledgement. So we'll just have a look here. Here we've got little Lentil the frog and Tzar paddling over to see Eden and Vero. So, Eden, who's your new friend? Lentil inquired, heaving himself onto a large lily pad right next to Vero's knobby red neck. Tzar, this is Lentil. Lentil, this is Tzar, she replied. Enchanté, mon grenouille friend, said Tzar, nodding his fluffy head. Tzar, what brings you to the top end? Vero asked, clacking his bills together so they made a clackety-clack sound. Well, me, my brother Ziggy and our folks are here on one of our adventures looking to meet up with Australian wildlife, just like you. That's so cool, replied Lentil, wolf whistling loudly. as he leapt from one lily pad to the next in excitement. "Where's Ziggy?" inquired Eden, looking around for another poodle, just like Tzar. "Oh, you can't see him. I suspect he's still asleep in that saddlebag," he added, pointing his paw to Shout's saddle. "You mean that small pouch at the side there?" she probed, looking from Tzar to the saddlebag with a perplexed look on her face. "How on earth?" "Goodness, you didn't think he was as big as me, did you? He's tiny, only comes up to about here on me," he said, chuckling, holding his paw halfway up his front legs. Before anyone could reply, Tzar said, "Friends, I'm afraid I have to go. Ernie's calling everyone to mount up." And he quickly paddled to the edge of the billabong. "It was lovely to meet you, Tzar," they said. "Likewise," he replied, shaking the excess water from his coat. He quickly hopped onto the back of the ute and spun around to get a last look at his new friends as the car lurched forward. "Arrivederci," he called out, but Eden, Biro and Lentil were already out of sight. Well, that brings us to the end of Chapter 4. I hope you've enjoyed our reading today, and we look forward to speaking with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. with Chapter 5. Have a lovely evening, children. Bye!